The telegraph was a groundbreaking invention that changed how people communicated over long distances. Developed in the early 19th century, it used electrical signals to transmit messages quickly, allowing information to travel faster than ever before. Before the telegraph, sending a message could take days or even weeks, relying on horses or ships. With the telegraph, messages could be sent in mere minutes, drastically altering the landscape of communication. During conflicts, this technology was particularly significant. Armies could relay orders and updates in real time, helping them respond more swiftly to changing situations on the battlefield. The telegraph became essential for military strategy, giving leaders an edge in coordinating movements and gathering intelligence. It facilitated a new kind of warfare where speed and information were key. As soldiers fought in various campaigns, the telegraph wires stretched across vast areas, connecting distant headquarters and troops. This newfound ability to communicate quickly became crucial for survival and success during battles. However, with its advantages came a mix of anxiety and uncertainty. As troops relied on electronic messages to guide their actions, any strange sounds or interruptions could spark fear and superstition. Little did they know, the very device designed to bring clarity would also become a source of dread. In this tense atmosphere, a peculiar noise from the telegraph key triggered whispers of something supernatural at play. As soldiers interpreted these sounds as ghostly messages from Cherokee warriors, panic spread rapidly, setting the stage for a decision that would shock everyone involved. The Cherokee people have a rich history that dates back thousands of years, long before the arrival of European settlers. They originally inhabited the southeastern United States, including parts of present-day North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. Known for their strong connection to the land, the Cherokee lived in harmony with nature, farming, hunting, and gathering. Their culture was vibrant, with unique traditions in art, music, and storytelling that reflected their deep respect for the environment. As American expansion continued in the 19th century, tensions grew between the Cherokee and the U.S. government. This conflict led to the forced removal of many Cherokee from their ancestral lands along what became known as the Trail of Tears. This tragic event resulted in the loss of lives and homes for countless families. Despite these hardships, the Cherokee people showed resilience and determination to preserve their identity. During the military conflicts of this period, such as the Indian Wars and the Civil War, the Cherokee found themselves caught between opposing sides. Some chose to ally with the Confederacy while others fought for the Union, showcasing their complex relationship with American society. The Cherokees' knowledge of the land made them invaluable allies to both armies, but it also placed them in great danger. As soldiers fought across these familiar territories, they often encountered remnants of Cherokee life and culture. The echoes of past warriors lingered in the air, contributing to the soldiers' growing fears. Strangely enough, it was this very connection to the land that would later be misconstrued as ghostly warnings transmitted through the telegraph. The merging of these histories set a dramatic stage for events yet to unfold. As the war raged on, the telegraph system became an essential tool for communication among the troops. However, it also produced a variety of strange sounds that went beyond the typical clicks and clattering of the telegraph key. Sometimes, the keys would chatter in rapid bursts or emit eerie echoes that soldiers found unsettling. In the heat of battle, with tensions running high and fear lingering in the air, these strange noises began to take on a life of their own. To many soldiers, these sounds felt like more than just mechanical malfunctions. They began interpreting them as messages from the spirit world. Whispers filled with tales of Cherokee warriors, who once fought bravely for their land, seemed to resonate through the wires. This terrifying connection between the past and present sparked panic among the men, who feared they were being haunted by ghostly figures seeking revenge for their lost homeland. The more they listened to the chattering telegraph, the more convinced they became that these sounds were warnings from supernatural forces. Their imaginations ran wild, fueled by stories passed down from their families about spirits watching over the land. The idea that they were being communicated with by ancient warriors struck fear into their hearts, leading them to believe they were surrounded by restless souls. In this frenzied state, some soldiers felt a desperate need to silence what they thought was a haunting message. They believed that by destroying the telegraph wires, they could put an end to the ghostly chatter. This misguided decision marked a turning point, driven by fear rather than reason, and set the stage for unforeseen consequences in their fight for survival. As the eerie sounds from the telegraph persisted, anxiety grew among the soldiers. The incessant chattering began to weave into their minds, linking it to haunting local folklore about Cherokee ghost warriors. Tales of brave spirits who once roamed the land, protecting their territory and guiding their people, filled the soldiers with both awe and dread. In a time of turmoil, these stories became more than just folklore. They morphed into a terrifying reality that seemed to watch over the men during their darkest hours. As whispers of ghostly warnings spread through the ranks, soldiers recounted tales shared around campfires. They spoke of ancestors who had fought valiantly but were now trapped between worlds, seeking justice for their lost homes. Each strange sound from the telegraph was interpreted as a message from these spirits, urging them to leave the battlefield or warning them of impending doom. The fear that gripped them was palpable, causing soldiers to jump at every crackle or pop from the wires. Nightfall brought an even deeper sense of dread. In the dark, shadows danced in their minds as they imagined figures from the past rising up to confront the living. Many soldiers felt they were being watched and judged by these specters, heightening their fears and mistrust of one another. The uncertainty of what lay ahead made each sound from the telegraph feel like a direct challenge or threat from those who had come before. With tension mounting and fear consuming their thoughts, some men began to see destruction as their only option. They believed that silencing the telegraph would put an end to the haunting noises and allow them to fight without being haunted by spirits of warriors long gone. This rising tide of panic set in motion a series of events that would lead to disastrous outcomes on both sides of the conflict. As fear gripped the soldiers, a sense of desperation took hold. The eerie sounds from the telegraph no longer felt like mere disturbances. They became a constant reminder of their growing dread. In a heated meeting under flickering lantern light, the officers gathered and debated the best course of action. Whispers of ghostly warriors seeking retribution filled the air, and it seemed that every man present was haunted by the same unsettling thoughts. Fueled by anxiety and superstition, a radical plan emerged. The belief that the telegraph was a direct link to the spirit world convinced many that destroying it was their only hope for peace on the battlefield. The idea of burning the wires took root, as soldiers imagined silencing the ghosts would bring them safety and restore order among their ranks. With each passing hour, the urgency to act grew stronger. As night fell, groups of men armed with torches set out to execute their plan. They marched along the telegraph lines, torchlight flickering like fireflies against the dark sky. The sight of flames consuming miles of wire brought a mix of relief and excitement. They believed they were taking control of their fate. "No more haunting messages," they shouted as they watched the fires blaze. However, as dawn broke and smoke curled into the morning sky, reality began to set in. Their desperate decision left them cut off from vital communication during an already chaotic time. Orders that could have turned the tide in battle were now lost in the ashes. The soldiers soon realized that what they thought would silence their fears had instead plunged them into deeper uncertainty, setting them on a path toward further turmoil and despair. As the sun rose over the smoldering remains of the telegraph wires, the soldiers faced a grim reality. The decision to burn miles of wire, meant to silence their fears, instead led to a catastrophic breakdown in communication. In an age where swift messaging was critical for military strategy, they found themselves isolated in the midst of conflict. Without the ability to send or receive orders, their movements became erratic and disorganized. The chain of command faltered as officers struggled to relay crucial information to their troops. Messages that could have signaled reinforcements or strategic retreats were lost forever in the ashes. Soldiers began to feel adrift, with each passing hour heightening their anxiety and deepening their sense of hopelessness. Misinformation spread like wildfire among the ranks. Rumors took hold regarding enemy movements and intentions, creating confusion that fueled further panic. Military operations, previously coordinated with precision using the telegraph, devolved into chaos. As they encountered enemy forces without a clear plan, Many soldiers fought hesitantly. Their inability to communicate effectively led to missed opportunities on the battlefield, turning potential victories into dire defeats. Trust within units eroded as uncertainty festered. Each man questioned not only his own orders but also those from his leaders. In the weeks that followed, soldiers grappled with not just physical hardships but also psychological burdens exacerbated by their earlier actions. They found themselves haunted by not only memories of battles lost but also by the weight of their choice to destroy what could have been their lifeline. Instead of liberating themselves from ghosts of Cherokee warriors, they had unleashed new specters: confusion, fear, and regret on the battlefield. The stories of Cherokee ghost warriors held a powerful sway over the minds of the soldiers during their harrowing campaign. Passed down through generations, these tales portrayed the spirits of brave Cherokee fighters who once valiantly defended their homeland against invaders. These warriors were said to roam the very lands where the soldiers now stood, watching over the woods and valleys, serving as guardians of their people. The legends told of how these spirits could appear in times of great distress, often warning or guiding those who had respect for the land and its history. As the soldiers became increasingly unsettled by the strange sounds from the telegraph, their imaginations began to intertwine with these folkloric beliefs. With every eerie crackle, they felt as if the ghost warriors were reaching out to them, urging them to heed their warnings about the consequences of invading Cherokee lands. The fear that gripped the soldiers didn't merely stem from superstition. It was amplified by their lack of understanding of the rich cultural history surrounding them. Many men started attributing their own anxieties and fears to these spectral figures, believing that they were being punished for trespassing on sacred ground. These beliefs influenced crucial decisions on and off the battlefield. The fear of awakening vengeful spirits impacted how soldiers perceived their mission, leading to hesitation in combat. Some soldiers claimed to hear whispers encouraging them to retreat or reconsider their actions. Even those who were initially skeptical soon found themselves swayed by the growing dread that surrounded them. Fueled by folklore and haunted by the weight of their choices, they positioned themselves not just against an enemy in front of them but also against the looming specters of those whose land they had encroached upon, making every battle feel like a confrontation with history itself. In the chaos of warfare, communication is paramount. Yet, fear can warp perceptions and lead to hasty decisions with dire consequences. The soldiers' experiences highlight how misunderstandings fueled by anxiety can spiral into actions that compromise their safety and effectiveness. When faced with the unknown, like the unsettling sounds from the telegraph, their imaginations took over, and the line between reality and superstition blurred. This fear not only affected their mental state but also led to drastic choices that undermined their mission. The decision to burn the telegraph wires is a stark example of how fear can cloud judgment. Instead of finding a solution to their anxiety, such as investigating the strange noises, they acted impulsively, believing destruction would bring them peace. This reflects a broader truth about warfare. When communication breaks down, so does strategy. Soldiers fighting without clear instructions or coordination are vulnerable to chaos and defeat. Moreover, the incident demonstrates how cultural beliefs can amplify fears in a battlefield context. The soldiers' interpretations of ghostly messages tied to Cherokee folklore created a psychological barrier that hindered their ability to act decisively. Instead of confronting their enemy, they were haunted by guilt and fear, which overshadowed their military objectives. Ultimately, this situation serves as a reminder of the importance of clarity and rationality in times of crisis. Effective communication can dispel fears and lead to more thoughtful decisions. As seen in this story, misunderstanding and fear can become enemies just as formidable as any opposing force on the battlefield, leading to unnecessary losses and regret that linger long after the conflict ends. The tale of the telegraph and the haunted whispers of Cherokee ghost warriors encapsulates a profound intersection of technology, culture, and fear during a tumultuous period in history. The introduction of the telegraph was intended to enhance communication and efficiency in military operations, yet it ultimately became a source of anxiety for soldiers grappling with their own beliefs and the weight of their actions. These soldiers found themselves ensnared in a web of superstition and cultural folklore that blurred the lines between reality and fear. As they faced strange sounds interpreted as ghostly messages, Their inability to confront these fears led them to make rash decisions, notably the burning of vital communication lines. This act not only deprived them of crucial updates but also exposed how deeply entrenched cultural mistrust could lead to disastrous outcomes during conflicts. The experience serves as a cautionary tale regarding the importance of understanding cultural contexts and the inherent power that folklore can wield in shaping perceptions. In this case, belief in ghost warriors highlighted the psychological burdens placed upon soldiers who felt they were being judged not just for their actions on the battlefield but for transgressing sacred ground as well. This narrative illustrates that in times of conflict, technology can empower but also disempower. Misunderstandings arising from fear can cloud military judgment, leading to chaos rather than clarity. In a broader sense, it reminds us that fear can be just as formidable an adversary as any enemy force encountered. Its influence on decision-making can shape both individual destinies and collective outcomes in war. Ultimately, this story leaves a lingering reflection on how culture, technology, and fear intertwine during moments when history is made.